In the corridor of an upscale club, Shen Wanqing, the heiress of the Shen family, ran wildly. The shouts of "Stop her!" behind her stung like poison-tipped darts. She wondered if she could escape. Suddenly, her body felt like it had been doused in lit alcohol, heat seared from her neck to her fingertips. She leaned against a cold marble pillar, gasping, and realized something was terribly wrong. She couldn't even summon her most basic self-defense techniques. Footsteps closed in. Instinct drove her to the nearest door. In her panic, she saw a man with sharp, rigid shoulders framed by a tailored suit. It was Lu Haoran, president of the Lu Group, but she had no idea who he was. Desperation pushed her to beg for help. She grabbed his hand, pulling herself closer, but he snapped impatiently. Crazy woman! Yet she had no retreat. She clung to him as the shouts drew nearer. She's hurt. She must be nearby. Catching sight of her terror and the pursuers, he suddenly wrapped an arm around her waist, pressing her firmly against him with an unyielding intensity. Stay still, he murmured in her ear, his tone unreadable. Seconds later, the mob raced past. He shifted, shielding her completely in his shadow. The next morning, she woke in shock, staring at the man beside her. Oh my God, I actually slept with a man, she gasped. Then she shrugged it off. He practically threw himself at me, she thought. I didn't force anything. She left a bracelet said to ward off misfortune as compensation, muttering they'd never meet again before slipping away, still oblivious to his identity. When Lu Haoran woke, he found the empty bed and the bracelet. Damned woman, he muttered, but a flicker of amusement crossed his face. She certainly knew how to be generous. But a secret burned in him. Since childhood, he'd suffered shortness of breath whenever he came into contact with other women. Yet with last night's woman, that repulsion hadn't surfaced at all. Confusion gnawed at him. He grabbed his phone. Find her, he told his men, his voice sharp. Turn the city upside down. I want her. Lu Wanqing's heart raced as she saw her son in danger. Without hesitation, she whispered a spell, sending their car soaring into the air just in time to save little Debeo. But the boy pointed at the vehicle below and cried, I wasn't in danger. Mom! They were! Horrified, Wanqing yanked the magic back. The car thudded to the ground, leaving the driver and a stunned man Lu Haoran gaping. As they stumbled out, Debeo suddenly dashed forward, wrapping his arms around Haoran. Daddy! Wanqing's breath caught. That night 5 years ago. This was Debeo's father. If Haoran recognized her, he might fight for custody. But the man only frowned, kneeling to ask, why call me Dad? Your bracelet. Debeo beamed. Mom has one just like it. Panicked, Wanqing cut in, these are common charms sold everywhere. She hushed her son, pulse pounding. Just then, the driver got a call. Sir, your mother is ill, we must hurry. Debeo tugged Haoran's sleeve. My mom can heal her. The air went still. Would Wanqing risk revealing her magic, or walk away?
Stop, be more serious. I've had Zhao Shitu teach you for days now. How come you still haven't learned?
Mom, I don't want to practice anymore. I want to go up the mountain to look for Dad.
What Dad? Were you born out of a rock cave?
Mom, please just let me go. I can absolutely figure out exactly where my dad is all by myself.
Then, can you please figure out for me if I will be jumping?
Mom, you don't spoil me anymore, do you?
Why not?
Because we're going down the mountain.
Nonsense. We're supposed to be climbing the mountain. Looks like you haven't followed me for too long. You're getting restless.
Please, stop immediately right there.
Oh, my precious child, come, let Grandmaster take a look. Are you hurt anywhere?
Master, I haven't even really hit her yet.
You still want to lay a hand on her? Go, pack up and get ready to go down the mountain.
Master, I was just trying to scare him, and now you're sending me off as a graduate? That's just too much. You're tricking me out just for a bite to eat.
Enough! You've been away from home for so long, it's time you went back to see your parents. It's because President Shen and Mrs. Shen said if we don't let you go home, they won't donate incense money to the temple anymore. Besides, your worldly ties are not yet severed. Go down the mountain, resolve your fate, and only then can you achieve true enlightenment.
Master Dabao and I are heading down the mountain. Take care, everyone. I'll come back.
7th, Grandpa? We're leaving now. Dabao will miss you.
Go on, please. Please do continue with what you are doing as your efforts are truly appreciated and we are eager to see what comes next.
Dabao.
Master, you have successfully secured the highly anticipated Hai Ao group project. Everyone is eagerly waiting to celebrate this significant achievement.
Dabao, are you feeling all right?
This brat, how is he so incredibly, unbelievably, astonishingly, truly, remarkably strong? Hey, Dabao!
Lu Wanqing's heart raced as she saw her son in danger. Without hesitation, she whispered a spell, sending their car soaring into the air just in time to save little Debeo. But the boy pointed at the vehicle below and cried, "I wasn't in danger. Mom!" They were! Horrified, Wanqing yanked the magic back. The car thudded to the ground, leaving the driver and a stunned man Lu Haoran gaping. As they stumbled out, Debeo suddenly dashed forward, wrapping his arms around Haoran. "Daddy!" Wanqing's breath caught. That night 5 years ago. This was Debeo's father. If Haoran recognized her, he might fight for custody. But the man only frowned, kneeling to ask, "Why call me Dad? Your bracelet." Debeo beamed. "Mom has one just like it." Panicked, Wanqing cut in, "These are common charms sold everywhere." She hushed her son, pulse pounding. Just then, the driver got a call. "Sir, your mother is ill, we must hurry." Debeo tugged Haoran's sleeve. "My mom can heal her." The air went still. Would Wanqing risk revealing her magic, or walk away? Madame Lu's condition suddenly took a turn, and Lu Wanqing stepped in to help in the nick of time. The old lady coughed up blood, and Lu Haoran demanded, "What's going on?" His younger brother, Lu Fei, blamed Lu Haoran, declaring that if anything happened to the old lady, Lu Haoran would have to leave the Lu family. Lu Wanqing used her magic to teach Lu Fei a lesson. She then explained to everyone that the reason the old lady was acting erratically was due to the negative energy in the room, and insisted that Lu Fei and their stepmother leave immediately. The stepmother cursed at her, calling her a fraud, but Debeo defended her, saying, "Mom would never lie." In the end, Lu Haoran decided to trust Lu Wanqing and vowed to take full responsibility for the consequences. Madame Lu was helped back to bed to rest while Lu Wanqing continued her ritual to heal her.
天地无尽，乾坤借法。
Upon stepping outside, Lu Wanqing faced skepticism from Lu Haoran's stepmother and younger brother. She calmly assured them, "The old lady will wake up in 10 minutes. Just then, Debeo called Lu Haoran's father over, saying, "Don't worry, everything's under control." Hearing this, the stepmother and brother grew suspicious, whispering that they might be conspiring to harm the old lady. Lu Wanqing then revealed the true cause of Madame Lu's illness. A locust tree outside gathers dark energy, and the mirrors in this room reflected directly at her. She demanded, "Who arranged this room for her?" The stepmother quickly defended herself, insisting she had only meant well. As the 10-minute mark approached, the tension grew. Would Madame Lu wake up? 10 minutes later, the elderly lady woke up. The stepmother's scheme had failed. Lu Wanqing called for Debeo, preparing to leave the Lu residence with her son. On the way out, Debeo insisted on staying to talk to his father. Wanqing told him that man wasn't his father, but Debeo, trusting the bracelet's significance, remained convinced that Lu Haoran was his dad. Suddenly, Wanqing felt dizzy and nearly collapsed, but Haoran caught her in time. Debeo explained that his mother was exhausted from saving the elderly lady. When Haoran asked how he could repay her, Debeo blurted out, "I want a father." Flustered, Wanqing covered her son's mouth and hurriedly told Haoran no repayment was needed before rushing away. Haoran stood frozen, confused. His body hadn't rejected her touch even though he'd been allergic to women since childhood. Why? Meanwhile, back at Wanqing's home, her father was furious. He was about to punish her for daring to keep Debeo, her illegitimate child, without his permission. Would Wanqing face his wrath? Upon returning home, Wanqing's parents were instantly charmed by Debeo's adorable nature. They held his hands, unable to hide their affection.
Yo!
Then, Wanqing's mother asked about Debeo's father. Wanqing replied coldly, "Just consider him dead." Debeo, overhearing, frowned in protest. He knew better, his father was out there. Seizing the moment, Wanqing's mother suggested setting her up with a new man. Trapped by filial duty, Wanqing reluctantly agreed to attend the matchmaking banquet. But Debeo had other plans. He secretly called Haoran.
喂，爸爸。
At the event, the suitor made unwanted advances. Just as the situation turned uncomfortable, Debeo burst in. The man recoiled upon learning Wanqing already had a son. Would he still pursue her? And what would Haoran do once he found out? The first suitor, upon hearing Wanqing already had a son, turned pale and bolted. Just as Wanqing and Debeo celebrated their small victory, a second suitor arrived. This man smiled warmly, claiming he adored children and didn't mind Debeo at all. But Debeo wasn't having it. Using his mysterious magic, he made a cup slide back and forth across the table, disrupting the conversation. Wanqing, testing his sincerity, calmly stated she could never have more children. To her surprise, The man eagerly agreed, promising to raise DeBeo as his own. Then Howren stormed in, his voice sharp with defiance. My son doesn't need another man to raise him. Wan Qing froze. Would she accept his claim, or reject it? Howran's sudden appearance left Wan Qing and her blind date utterly stunned. Little Bao, holding Howran's hand, called out, Daddy. He then explained to Wan Qing that he was the one who had asked Howran to come. The confused blind date had no idea what was happening, so Little Bao clarified, Mommy and Daddy are just playing a game. You can't be Wan Qing's boyfriend. Disappointed, the man could only watch as the scene unfolded. After leaving the banquet hall, Wan Qing told Little Bao not to call just anyone Daddy. But the little boy protested, But Howran is my dad, why can't I call him that? Just then, Howran approached and confronted Wan Qing, demanding, Were you the woman who spent that night with me 5 years ago? Flustered, Wan Qing denied it and quickly led her son away. Once again, Howran was left in doubt. Had he mistaken her for someone else? At that moment, a server hurried over with a bracelet. Excuse me, sir, did you leave this at the table? Howran's breath caught. It was identical to the one given to him by that mysterious woman 5 years ago. Could this finally prove that Wan Qing was her? Wan Qing's mother gave her 2 tickets to a seaside resort, urging her to go on the trip with Ling Feng, the guy she'd met on a blind date the day before. Clearly, Ling Feng hadn't given up on pursuing her. Curious about his intentions, Wan Qing decided to go, but not without backup. She packed up her son, DeBeo, and got ready to leave. Just as she was preparing to leave, Lu Howren suddenly showed up. Just as the trip was about to begin, Howren suddenly appeared, instantly ratcheting up the tension. The 2 men immediately started vying to carry Wan Qing's luggage, turning the moment into an awkward competition. It was then that Wan Qing realized her son, DeBeo, had tipped Howren off yet again. Wanting to defuse the situation, Wan Qing decided to carry her own bags. Just when it seemed the crisis was averted, another woman showed up out of nowhere. A flicker of jealousy sparked in Wan Qing's chest until Howren quickly explained that she was just the daughter of his father's friend, someone he saw as a little sister. But now, the woman was eyeing Wan Qing with suspicion, questioning who she really was. Would this unexpected encounter ruin Howren and Wan Qing's chance at love? After arriving at the resort and checking into their rooms, the mysterious woman showed up at Howren's door with a bottle of red wine, inviting him for a drink. DeBeo, noticing this, used his invisibility magic to secretly follow her into the room. Just as the woman attempted to spike the wine with something, DeBeo cast a spell making her believe the room was haunted. She screamed and fled in terror. Good thing I arrived in time, DeBeo thought to himself. At that moment, he couldn't help but hope that Howren and Wan Qing would finally realize their feelings for each other. Returning to Wan Qing's room, DeBeo told her about the woman's scheme and urged her to go check on Howren. As the 2 stood face to face, hearts pounding, would this be the moment their long simmering sparks finally burst into flame? Howren held Wan Qing in his arms and asked her if she was the one from that night 5 years ago. At the critical moment, however, Howren passed out. At that time, Ling Feng, Wan Qing's persistent suitor, entered the room carrying a bottle of perfume laced with sedatives. His plan was to win Wan Qing over by any means necessary to gain control of the Shen family's fortune. But as he stepped inside, he saw a ghostly figure floating in the room. Terrified out of his wits, Ling Feng scrambled out in panic. Little did he know it was just DeBeo playing tricks again. Meanwhile, in the other room, what was happening between Wan Qing and Howren? The woman was putting on makeup, getting ready for a date, when she suddenly noticed a bloody word run appearing on the mirror. Instantly, she collapsed to the floor in terror. It was all the doing of the little boy, DeBeo. DeBeo was the result of a one-night stand between his father, Howren, and his mother, Wan Qing. Desperate to make them acknowledge each other, DeBeo kept playing mischievous ghostly tricks. This time, while Howren was showering, DeBeo used his supernatural powers to make him pass out, then urged his mother to go save him. Will Howren and Wan Qing finally find their way to each other? The The old Taoist priest munched on a chicken leg while scrolling through shorts videos. Then suddenly remembered he was supposed to attend the antique appraisal convention. He didn't want his carefree days to end, so he hatched a plan. He'd send his apprentice, Wanqing, in his place and claim his leg was acting up. Wanqing agreed, and the old man grinned in relief. Wanqing brought her son along to represent her master, but at the entrance, the guards stopped them. Sneering at their rural appearance, they mocked and humiliated them for daring to show up without an invitation. Just then, the event manager arrived, took one look at Wanqing's invitation, and hurriedly ushered her inside before coldly firing the guards on the spot. Inside the convention, Wanqing's son, Debeo, became an instant favorite, surrounded by giggling girls. But then his eyes locked onto someone in the crowd, his father, Haoran, the man who didn't even know he existed. A worthless rock bought for $5 million, and it made $10 million. At an auction, a man unexpectedly reunited with his long-lost wife and son. Together, they attended the event, unaware of the incredible twist fate had in store. The first item up for bid was an unremarkable stone, cracked and flawed, a fatal defect in the world of jade trading, known as the cursed fissure. The crowd scoffed, certain it was worthless. But the woman, gifted with clairvoyant sight, saw something hidden within. Ignoring the laughter, the man boldly bid $5 million and won. As murmurs of disbelief spread, the woman calmly walked on stage and shattered the stone with a wave of her hand. The audience erupted, some mocking, others pitying the foolish purchase. Then, a glint of light caught their eyes. Inside the broken rock lay a pristine gem worth $10 million. The crowd fell silent in stunned amazement. What was the next item at the auction? A stone worth $10 million. A woman with extraordinary abilities used her gift to bid $5 million on a piece of jade worth a staggering $10 million. Next up for auction was an ancient painting, the Mountain and River Scroll. Once again, the woman used her supernatural insight to assess its true value. Experts claimed that due to its damaged condition, the painting was worth no more than $10 million. The first bidder offered $8.5 million. The second raised it to $10 million, but the woman shocked everyone by bidding $20 million. A friend, suspicious that the woman was deceiving her companion, warned him, but the man stood firm, choosing to trust her. In a fit of spite, the friend retaliated with a bid of $30 million. Undeterred, the woman countered with an astonishing $100 million. The crowd was speechless. Experts insisted the damaged painting could never be worth that much. Yet the woman remained utterly confident. "If no one believes me," she declared, "I'll prove it." Then she tore the painting in half. At an auction, a woman boldly ripped apart a valuable ancient painting in front of the stunned crowd. Experts were furious, accusing her of destroying a cultural relic until they noticed something hidden beneath the canvas, an ancient script. The woman explained that the script was 5,000 years old, making it an irreplaceable treasure. After careful examination, experts confirmed its authenticity. Overjoyed, the woman took the script and handed it to her boyfriend. Just as her son, Debeo, mentioned he was hungry and they prepared to leave, another woman blocked their path. She accused them of conspiring with the auction house, claiming they knew about the hidden script all along. The auction manager tried to explain, but the accuser refused to listen. When Debeo spoke up to defend his mother, the hostile woman threatened to hit him. In response, the boy's mother used magic to subdue her attacker. Now, the question remains, will they escape unharmed? And what awaits them next? The woman was publicly humiliated, yet the man she secretly loved did nothing to help her. He didn't even offer a hand. What was the reason for all this? What had she actually done? Everyone present began to accuse her of impropriety. Just then, an elderly man stepped forward. The woman quickly approached him, complaining about how she had been insulted and slandered. She pointed at a woman named Wanqing, blaming her for all the humiliation. Expecting the elder to take her side, she was shocked when his expression changed the moment he saw Wanqing. He immediately grasped the woman's hand and exclaimed, "Master Uncle!" The crowd was stunned. The elder explained to everyone that many years ago, while cultivating in the mountains, he had met Wanqing's master, the revered Taoist Qingxian. Wanqing possessed extraordinary magic, and he held her in the highest respect. Realizing she had no ground to stand on, the woman prepared to leave in shame. But would Wanqing really let this wicked woman walk away so easily? Haoran got a call from his grandmother, asking him to bring Wanqing and Debeo to the family home, all because they had cured her illness. When the matriarch met them, Haoran's brother Lufei accused Debeo of being Haoran and Wanqing's secret love child, calling his brother irresponsible. Furious, the old woman slapped Lu Fei for his rudeness, and he stormed off. Hearing about Wan Qing's ties to Haoran, the grandmother tried to gift her a family heirloom bracelet, but Wan Qing clarified the misunderstanding. Yet, noticing Debao's uncanny resemblance to young Haoran, the matriarch pulled her grandson aside and asked if he liked Wan Qing, offering help. His blush said it all. Later, as Haoran and Debao waited in the living room, his cousin arrived for dinner and immediately berated Debao. Just then, the grandmother entered with a stunningly dressed Wan Qing, leaving everyone in awe. Debao warned the cousin, "If you keep doing evil, something bad will happen." She tried to hit him but tripped and cut her forehead, proving his prediction right. Debao apologized, but the grandmother didn't blame him. However, Haoran's aunt feared this would ruin family relations and demanded the cousin's family punish Debao. Will the matriarch allow it? What happens next? This man named Haoran entered the room and found the elderly lady looking through photos. The old lady told Haoran that he looked exactly the same as the boy he had met earlier when he was a child. Haoran thought back to that boy and began to suspect that the child might actually be his son. So he went to find the boy and asked for one of his hairs. The boy gave him one, and Haoran immediately called to arrange a paternity test. Meanwhile, the boy returned to his room, where his mother asked him where he had been. The boy explained what had happened. Realizing the truth could no longer be hidden, the boy's mother used magic to take him away. By the time Haoran opened the door to look for the boy, they were already gone. The test results came in, but just then, Haoran received an urgent call from his company and had to leave in a hurry. What were the test results? Was the boy really his son? When Haoran stepped into the boardroom, the executives delivered grim news. Their key project was haunted. With workers fleeing injuries and deadlines blown, the company was bleeding money. The management unanimously demanded that he take responsibility, or they would remove him from his position as chairman. As the argument grew heated, Haoran's grandmother arrived. She opposed the family business, removing Haoran from his role as chairman. However, the management insisted that the haunted construction site had already caused many workers to get injured, and the project was at a standstill. At that moment, a woman named Wan Qing stepped forward, claiming she could solve the haunting problem at the project site. Everyone was skeptical, but Haoran vouched for her, stating that if the haunting issue wasn't resolved, he would voluntarily step down as chairman. His younger brother was secretly pleased because he knew the haunting problem was nearly impossible to solve. He wanted Haoran removed so he could take control of the company. Yet, Wan Qing appeared confident and went to the construction site with Haoran, planning to summon the ghost through magic to resolve the issue. Do you think they'll succeed? This man is named Haoran. He and a sorceress arrive at a construction site to capture an unknown demonic entity that has been disrupting the work and harming the workers. The sorceress uses her magic to trap the demon and demands to know why it has repeatedly attacked people. She eventually learns that the construction of the building will destroy the demon's dwelling place, leaving it with nowhere to go. The sorceress promises to find another sacred burial ground for them, and the demon reluctantly agrees. Could it be that the crisis has been resolved so smoothly? As they leave the site, Haoran discovers that the child the sorceress has been raising is actually his biological son. However, the driver informs him that the woman has already left. By now, the sorceress has returned to the Taoist temple on the mountain. Her master approaches and tells her that Haoran has come searching for them. When Haoran finally meets the sorceress, he confesses that he now knows she was the woman from that fateful night 5 years ago and that the boy is his son. He begs for a chance to be part of their lives. Though the sorceress agrees tentatively, will Haoran truly pass her final test? And will his family ever accept him marrying a sorceress? Father brings daughter to propose marriage, but the man refuses because he's in love with a witch. The young woman, unwilling to accept defeat, challenges the witch to a contest. The winner earns the right to pursue the man, while the loser must walk away. Confident, the witch agrees. The woman brings in a highly skilled monk to compete on her behalf. For the first round, they decide to test their abilities by telling the fortune of a young boy. The witch examines the boy's face and declares that he is blessed with good fortune, has 2 siblings, and comes from a harmonious family. But the woman dismisses this, arguing that such details could apply to anyone and don't prove the witch's power. Then, the monk steps forward. By reading the boy's palm, he reveals that the boy once got into a fight as a child and still bears a scar on his chest. The boy confirms this is true. Just as the woman is about to declare the witch the loser, the witch suddenly asks the boy, "Has your father left the house today?" She warns him to contact his father immediately and tell him not to go out. Disaster awaits. At that very moment, the boy receives a call. His father was supposed to board a ship that has just sunk. Fortunately, his father stayed behind and survived the tragedy. With this, the witch wins the first round. What will the second round be? And can the witch win again? To protect her love, the witch challenged a high monk to a magical duel. This time, their test was to subdue the evil spirit haunting a cursed house. Anyone who entered this house was overwhelmed by its eerie, sinister aura. The malevolent entity had driven its inhabitants to madness or even death. Could the witch prevail? As the contest began, both the high monk and the witch cast their spells, eventually discovering the spirit's hiding place, the mirror. The high monk struck first, weaving his incantations to purify the evil. But the spirit within the mirror was too powerful. The monk was struck down, coughing up blood. Seeing this, the witch swiftly cast her own magic and finally subdued the vengeful ghost.
天地无极，乾坤借法，破！
Yet, upon returning home, she collapsed into unconsciousness. Will she ever wake again? The witch lost her magical powers after battling an evil spirit and was hospitalized. However, her younger brother and aunt at home were secretly delighted they had a far more sinister plan to kill the witch. The brother, Lu Fei, disguised himself as a doctor and went to the hospital to murder the witch. Meanwhile, the witch's son and husband were on their way. Sensing his mother was in danger, the son used magic to teleport to the hospital and stop the would-be killer. In the chaos, the murderer fled back home and confessed to his mother that their plot had been exposed. Just as he tried to escape, the witch and her husband arrived. The murderer's mother begged for mercy, pleading with the witch to spare her son. But the ungrateful killer still attempted to stab the witch with a dagger, unaware that her magic had already returned. Will the witch show him mercy? Or will the murderer seek revenge once more? A witch and her husband went to the hospital to visit his ailing father. Sensing something strange about his condition, the witch prepared to treat him with acupuncture. However, a doctor intervened, insisting they couldn't administer unauthorized treatments and had to leave for the patient's safety. As they walked away, the witch grew suspicious of the doctor and decided to return. Her instincts were right. The doctor was secretly poisoning the father on someone else's orders, keeping him in a coma. After injecting the poison, the doctor carelessly tossed the syringe into the trash, where the witch discovered it. The mastermind behind the plot? The husband's stepmother. When the stepmother realized her scheme was exposed, she rushed to kill the father before he could recover. But the witch arrived just in time to stop her. Cornered, the stepmother made a desperate demand to save the father's life. The family business must be handed over to her biological son. Just as she thought she had won, the father suddenly woke up thanks to the witch's mentor, who had used magic to heal him. In the end, the stepmother faced justice, and the witch's family lived happily ever after.